You're listening to Opera Box Score.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Wherever you are, however you're listening, it's America's talk radio show about opera. It's Opera Box Score. I'm Ashley Hardgrave, joined this week by Oliver Camacho. All right, this week we go inside the huddle with Laurence Kilsby. The rising British tenor just performed in the BBC Proms with Jupiter Ensemble and is currently starring as the Novice in Michael Grandage's production of Billy Budd at Glyndebourne Festival. That is 2 venues on Oliver Camacho's bucket list, and Laurence is not even 30 years old. Gotta love him. Then, in the listener mailbag, it is a field report on Eugene Onegin at Wolf Trap, and since we're in summer hours, we'll skip the 2-minute drill this week. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Spotify. You're going to click follow on Apple Podcasts. You hit that little plus sign. You can also stream episodes of the OBS every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central at amplisoundsradio.com. You can also email us your hot takes by writing to mailbag at operaboxscore.com, or you can upload a voice memo using the You Got Something to Say tab on our website, which is, guess what? operaboxscore.com. However you contribute, you'll get an OBS beer coaster, an OBS lapel pin, and a #1 OBS fan foam finger just for sharing your own hot take. It's a skeleton crew this evening as we record. Oliver Camacho, how are you, my dear?
Great. I'm preparing to go to Santa Fe, which is, I'll be gone next week, but hopefully I'll be able to offer you guys some content before I leave and collect some more content while I'm there. As far as something sports related goes for today, I am currently reading / listening to the new book called The Open Era by Edward Schmidt, which is like a enemies to lovers, gay, male fantasy thing. And one of the characters is clearly inspired by Carlos Alcaraz. And so I'm getting sort of like fan fiction Carlos Alcaraz. It's great. So far, I'm really enjoying it. Highly recommend to our gay tennis fan audiences.
I love that. All 7 of you. And, I'm a little surprised that I haven't actually seen you writing any Carlos Alcaraz fanfic, just in your copious amounts of free time. Maybe that's something you add to your to-do list. We are based, as you know, in Chicago, and Chicago was the host this past weekend to the 2026 WNBA All-Star Game. And I would like to congratulate the entire league because they set an all-time attendance record with 19,783 fans, which is actually just under the United Center in Chicago's capacity. Congratulations to them. And also in a historic first, the event outdrew and out-attended their brothers in the NBA's All-Star Game that was held earlier this year in Los Angeles at 15,973 fans. So roughly 4,000 more people watched ladies ball than boys ball. And you know what? That's my joy for today. Let's talk some opera.
Huddle up. Let's go inside the huddle.
Today's interview guest is a person I've known about since 2022. A crazy year for Laurence Kilsby. He was doing the Staines Institute program, the program for singers here at Ravinia Festival, which is where a lot of people actually, when they are up and coming, get a chance to spend a couple of weeks and learn about song. Right after, I forget the order in which these things happened, but right after he was in Chicago / Highland Park for Staines, he went on to compete in the Chesty International Baroque singing competition and won.
Oh, wow.
And then the Das Lied competition, I think that's in Heidelberg, and won. And then the Wigmore Hall International Song Competition and won. Those things might not have happened in the exact same order, but they all happened within months of each other. So Ravinia audiences didn't know that they were listening to somebody who was about to become a major player in the, world of Baroque singing and art song singing, which are the 2 categories where Laurence is definitely making an impact. He's also obviously singing opera and is currently in the Michael Grandage production of Billy Budd, which is a very famous production that came to the US, I don't know, maybe like 12 years ago. And he just sang a Proms concert. And like, when I don't know if this made it onto the interview, I forget. But, for me, the idea of singing a proms concert, that's like what bigger of an audience can you sing for than in the BBC Proms? And it turns out that the proms he sang just a week ago, as today as we're recording, that was his 5th proms concert. And that effort is not even 30 years old.
Oh, the wee babes, when they do so well so quickly.
Yeah.
You're both impressed and a little jealous.
I am a huge fan. And we're going to dive into this conversation. Before we do, one of his signature pieces, Britain's Canticle No. 1, My Beloved Is Mine, with his regular collaborator, pianist Ella O'Neill.
That I best beloved am, that is mine, that I my best beloved am, that he is mine.
Laurence Kilsby, welcome to Opera Box Score. You're currently in a production of Billy Budd, which I think I want to talk about with you. But you also just sang I learned your 5th proms. Can we talk? Because this is summertime, and Glyndebourne and the Proms are things that I have not been to yet, but I have dreams about going. You're British, so maybe it doesn't seem that anymore like of a special thing to you. But for me, the idea of going to Glyndebourne and to going to the Proms feels like the most posh thing you could do. And I want to meet those guys who go to the Proms all the time. And I want to maybe, I don't know, get married to Robert L. Hall. Actually, my dream is to get married on Centre Court, Wimbledon.
Oh, that's a great oh, yes. Very good idea.
To Carlos Alcaraz. I mean, if he's game. I'm not sure, but...
Do it.
So, you're a young guy. You are having the career that if I had more discipline and more talent, I would want to have. You're singing with all the best people. I mean, I'm crazy about Thomas Dunford. I know he's got Léa Desandré, but if that ever doesn't work out, I'd be game for that.
He's a really phenomenal musician. I think the way that he plays the lute is nothing short of extraordinary. I mean, he the way that he accompanies the voice, and he's very the dialogue is so strong. It's really really fantastic. And I will say, doing Glyndebourne and the Proms, even for somebody who's on home turf, let's say, it has been so extremely special to be at home. And I've always wanted to sing at Glyndebourne, having been to see productions there. The experience of going and having a picnic in those gardens and the whole atmosphere there, dressing up to go to the opera and, heading out into the countryside. There is something, every performance that we've done of Billy Budd, I felt like I've experienced it from an audience perspective as well, because I get dressed up, I go out in the interval and I go see family and friends, and there is something very specifically British about it, but also the standard and the quality of the music making and the productions there is really unrivaled, actually. And doing this Michael Grandage production of Billy Budd, I felt very, very privileged to be part of. They first did it about 10, 15 years ago, and I think it's sort of become a Glyndebourne favourite, because it is this, I think Billy Budd in the first place is this kind of monster of a piece. I mean, some of the chorus writing in that, it hits you like a wall of sound, and the set and the lighting in it and the playing on stage is just.
This is the one with the boat. The boat's on stage, right? Like a giant.
Yeah. Like the quarter deck. It's this big oval, and it kind of mirrors the auditorium, so the audience really feel like they're in. You feel like you're in a ship, which is kind of amazing, claustrophobic, and yet thrilling at the same time.
I think that's the production that toured to the U.S.
Yes, it did.
Yeah,
it went to New York.
Imbroglio and I think Mark Padmore. Yeah.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, I went to see that. It's devastating. I remember just being completely gutted by it. So
I know it just keeps going downhill. You think, is anyone going to get out of this happy? No.
Yeah. Do you have your eyes on? I mean, you're not. We don't want you to sing Vere yet, but do you think that's like in your future that could you be that type of tenor?
I mean, it's a complex role, and I think I need a few years of experience to kind of take a role like that on. Not to say that I wouldn't love to. I think it would be later down the line. I would love to give it a whirl. I think there are, Peter Grimes as well. I think is just an incredible role. Something I would absolutely not sing, obviously, yet. But I mean, watching someone like Alan Clayton, who is a master at what he does, and manages
He's
to
crazy.
But he manages to balance this purity of sound that speaks so directly to someone, but there's this dramatic force, dramatic energy, and that balance with vulnerability, I think, is so incredible. And I'd never, when I heard him sing Peter Grimes, I thought, oh, that kind of lyricism, but also that purity is something that I hadn't heard in that role. And I think watching from the wings, hearing him sing Vere was a similar thing. I feel like I've learned a lot just being around him and listening to him, because he's a great inspiration.
Well, we don't have to talk about exactly how old you are, but I want to suggest that you're still very early in your career. At the same time, you have been singing your whole life. So you are, you're very seasoned for somebody with a tone quality like yours. And it strikes me that, you have a beautiful tone. You're extremely musical. You have a lot of technique, and things seem to come naturally to you. And I know that's not fair to accuse anybody of anything coming naturally, because I know we work really hard to develop these skills. But it sort of feels like you're dropped, for those who don't know that you've been singing this long, it feels like you've been dropped into the industry, fully formed as a musician with this, God-kissed throat. But still, you're young, and nobody wants to spoil that. We don't want to force your voice into something it shouldn't be doing. And so during this part of your career, I think in a way you're lucky that there's so much interest in early music, and there are all sorts of bands that are like popping up everywhere that want to do this repertoire. And you have like the tone to sing French Baroque music, to sing Purcell, to sing Handel. And luckily, there's lots of jobs out there for that right now.
There are. I mean, and there's so much incredible music that's still being discovered. I mean, also obviously Baroque music that is always in the repertoire, but also I'm doing a concert in a few weeks with an Italian Baroque band of a lot of Italian Baroque gems that I had no idea about, which there is some sublime music. It's Concerto Romano. It's from by Alessandro Quarta. We performed together Oh, he's fab. Yeah, he's so fab. We did a Popea in Cologne together, and since then I've just so loved working with him. And he picked this really beautiful program which features Vivaldi and Handel and Monteverdi, and but there's also some slightly lesser known composers which I can't think don't come to mind. You don't have specifically to, Melanti or like some funny names, but they are gorgeous songs. So what I mean to say is there is so much in the repertoire. And also I think people are more daring to also stage things that have stage pieces, like I'm doing a staging of Handel's Theodora in Geneva next year, which is one of my favorite, if not my favorite Handel piece. And I think there's more, I think people are getting on board with this Baroque sound world much more now. And that's thanks to people like Raphael Pichon, who I owe my career to, basically, because I first came over to Paris, and Pygmalion was the first band I worked with in Paris, and that's why I kind of had my footing in France, kind of France and UK based. And working with him, I learnt an incredible amount of just trusting my musicality and enjoying the music making from my colleagues who are just so extraordinary in that band. Because the reason why I love this career and I love the jobs that I get to do is more, I think it's just the people that I get to work with. Everyone's so nice. It's just so fun touring with these wonderful musicians and getting to do really interesting stagings. And I don't think I didn't have a kind of atypical kind of trajectory into this career, but I think it was, I guess, more like a portfolio career, having done a lot of choral music and toured quite a lot, and then in trickles of things here and there. And I think with that balancing of art, song, concert, opera, I feel very, very fortunate in my life to get to kind of have that kind of variety. It's really nice.
It's interesting to me because you're working with two people that I just revere so much, Thomas Dunford and Jupiter. And I feel like he is breaking, like he could not be contained to what he's very, very good at. Like it wasn't enough for him. So now he's trying all these things and he like wants to conduct and he wants to do opera. Yeah. And it seems like a natural thing for him to just go in that direction. But also Raphael Pichon, who I don't know where he gets these ideas, but everything he does seems to be so brilliant and creative and original. Yeah. And the teams he puts together, it's like, yes, that person, yes, thank you. Ying Fang, yes.
Ying Fang, the best soprano ever. Oh, God, I adore that voice so much. Raphael also helped kind of broaden my repertoire as well. I mean, we did a pastiche sort of stage. Raphael has an amazing way of putting together lots of pieces to make new kind of pastiche things, like the pieces that he adds in the Mozart Requiem, but also he did a kind of Italian Baroque staging with Castellucci in Amsterdam, which was very beautiful. And I did a Schubert pastiche called L'Autre Voyage, which was staged by Silvia Costa, and it was all these arias from oratorios and operas of Schubert that don't really get performed because, well, the operas and the oratorios in their entirety are maybe a little bit complex and not so readily digestible. And we put it into this new kind of story about this man looking on his own kind of mortality, and it was quite meditative. It was with Stéphane Degout and Siobhan Stagg. And I had some incredible music to sing in that, and much more romantic music, but with a period band. So there was that feeling of I could phrase it in a way that felt in my wheelhouse. I don't know how to say it, but also, there's a lot of operatic repertoire that I would love to sing, and it was a way for me to kind of gently broaden my horizons a bit, and so I also have him to thank for projects like that, which then meant I sing some slightly more romantic German repertoire. I mean, I've been singing Schumann's Das Paradies und die Peri, which I think is one of the most divine pieces, and not really often performed, but it's a gorgeous tenor role, and I wouldn't have necessarily seen myself singing it, but I do now, so it's quite nice. Just
for the audience that may not fully grasp what you're hinting at or what you're suggesting, can I say it and tell me if I'm wrong? That your voice is still a light lyric instrument.
For sure.
And Raphael Pichon working with period instruments and working with, he's trying to figure out ways to support his singers so they can make this music work, but not overwhelm them with the possibility of a more lush orchestra.
It's absolutely that. I think it's the balancing and the kind of the feeling of when you sing Bach, basically, with a small ensemble. I think it's that, and just kind of broadening it, but having that sensation still feel, that dialogue with the musician still feel very potent, I guess. And
now for the singers that are listening, it's remarkable to me how well you phrase and how well you hear the music. And that to me comes from something maybe from your childhood. because right now are you still in your 20s? I don't know if you are.
I'm in my late 20s. Yeah, I'm turning 28 in 3 weeks. I think 2-3 weeks.
So mad. No, but like people that are your age are just beginning to like rely on their technique and begin to explore what it is they can do and what they want to say. But I feel like, you know, when you burst onto the scene in 2022, 23, the reason why you were winning all these competitions is because it was clear that you had an idea, that you wanted to make certain phrases and say certain things with your tone quality, which is that of a youthful light tenor, very clear, with a lot of, you know, accuracy of pitch, but also the willingness to go for colors that you know, only a tenor voice can do. And it's like fascinating to hear a tenor trill, a tenor do, you know, this off the voice, you know, cupo thing, but also to draw on chest and to, you know, you're willing to do it because you know what your technique is capable of. Am I going down the right path here? Or
well, I'm extremely touched of everything that you're saying. I mean, it means a lot, but I can't thank you enough. It's really very
clear.
kind.
I mean, you did the work. So
no, but I mean, I think when I came into those competitions, I really, I think I just tried to play to my strengths of, I know kind of what works for me as a singer, and kind of picking repertoire that I genuinely like. I think often as a young singer, I think we feel that we have to program things that other people will like, that other people will go, oh yes, they should be singing this, they should be singing that. And I think when I program recitals specifically, I sort of don't really care about that. I with Ella, we always try and structure a program around a kind of a storyline fix or a kind of dramatic pulse or something that then feeds into the text, which then feeds into the music, and then how can I challenge myself within that program, and then where can I find things that I know I do well, so that it has these kind of peaks and troughs, and I think that just plays into hopefully authenticity and being completely 100% real in front of an audience, I guess.
Yeah, but you're also, I mean, you're sort of a ham too. I mean, like even on Awakenings, like you go for things that are just like a little, I don't know, cheeky. I don't want to say self-deprecating, but like there's some.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Self-deprecating, absolutely. I love to play up the shtick. You know, it's fun.
Okay, yeah, and then it sort of makes you a natural for musical theater, and I don't know, maybe in a different era, like you would have only done music theater, but now you can do, you know, Cavalli and, you know, Lully, you know, where there's plenty of camp there.
Well, so much, because it's all, particularly Cavalli, Monteverdi, Lully, it's all predominantly recitative. Yeah. So it's all text that you can colour in any way you like. And actually, it's also with the Dowland songs that are all strophic and kind of the same very simple tune all the time. How do you find variations within that? And it's like singing a music theatre song where, you know, you have verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, you know, where you find variation in it. It's kind of, I find it sort of similar. So it's, I think that's quite fun to also spontaneously, also in the moment, take a risk and do something that might go well or might not go so well, but, you know, the moment's passed and that's live theatre. You know, it's kind of, I quite like that kind of tightrope walk as well. It's quite fun.
Well, since you have had the opportunity to collaborate with so many different people, do you have any like fangirl story you want to tell us about, like you could not believe that you got to do XYZ with somebody?
Oh gosh. Oh no, I don't know.
I didn't prepare you for this.
I have to say, no, doing Les Troyens, I was doing two small tenor roles in Les Troyens with the great Michael Spires, who was singing Aîné, which is a beast of a role. And I'd seen Michael perform on various occasions doing, as Michael does, literally anything and everything, anything in the repertoire. And I thought to myself, my God, how can you sing like that? It's so cool. I mean, you can sing all this high Rossini stuff and then sing baritone repertoire. And then he was singing Aine like it was nothing. I mean, it's relentless, that Berlioz. And to be part of that on such a big scale, where we were performing at the Salzburg Festival and at the Proms and Berlin Philharmonic, all incredible halls, I kind of felt quite overwhelmed. I was like, oh, wow, this is my life. Like, this is really cool. And I'm with really lovely people. And Michael gave me such incredible advice. He said, which kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. He said, if you can sing on as many recordings as you possibly can of different things, different repertoire, that's the best thing you could possibly do. Because A, it's a great memory to have those recordings, but also B, it kind of gives your artistry this room to breathe and for people to hear lots of different things. And because Michael has done so many different things, he said, you find your niche and you record the hell out of all that stuff. And then you'll be really satisfied with what you've created and what you've done over those years, and not in a way to be too picky. I just thought it was the most fantastic advice, and he was very inspirational at that time. So I that was a kind of pinch me moment.
Direct the fruits of Christian folly, direct the fruits of Christian harmony, and this stubborn melancholy, fond of life and liberty. Direct the fruits of Christian folly, direct the fruits of Christian harmony, fond of life and liberty. Of Christian body, and this stubborn melancholy, and this stubborn melancholy, fond of life, fond of life, fond of life and liberty.
One of Septimius's arias from Theodora, Dread the Fruits of Christian Folly, from a 2025 production of Theodora from Versailles, led by Thomas Dunford and his band Jupiter. So up next for Laurence, by the time you hear this podcast, he will have completed his run of the Novice in Billy Budd. But on the 7th of August, he's singing in Tuscany with a band that I know very well called Concerto Romano, led by Alessandro Quarta, a concert of early Baroque Italian opera. The program is called Care Gemme at the Amiata Festival. And then in October, he'll be back in North America singing Ferrando in Canadian Opera Company's Così fan tutte.
Oh, that's fantastic.
My thanks to Laurence Kilsby. Well, I DM'd Laurence on Instagram to get his attention.
My thanks to your DMs.
Yeah, but nevertheless, thanks to his management for coordinating the interview.
Absolutely. And if you'd like to hear even more of these interviews, make sure that you subscribe to this podcast. On Spotify, as a reminder, you're going to click follow, and on Apple Podcast, you're going to hit that plus sign. A little bit more sports chat for this skeleton crew. Oliver, you and I were at the same sporting event this weekend.
And I didn't even know you were there, but it was my first time seeing the Savannah Bananas. Oh. And it was so much fun. I'll let you describe exactly what it is, and then I'll tell you what my experience was. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Savannah Bananas, I've spoken about more than once on this show, even last week. They played a sold-out 3-game series at Wrigley Field this last weekend as part of their annual summer tour. I went on Saturday. Turns out Oliver did too. Our celebrity guests were Cubs legends Kerry Wood, and David Ross. Yes, Rossi of the 2016 World Series team. Savannah Bananas it's Harlem Globetrotters meets baseball. It's baseball for the silly. It's baseball for people that hate baseball. It's baseball for people that love baseball. It's a pitcher on stilts. It's just 3 hours of like pure summer joy, absolute pandemonium. Oliver, this was your first Banana Ball. What was your take? I'll say that there is one player on the Savannah Bananas who doesn't quite wear a shirt. It's just sort of like hanging off of him. It's just kind of an open vest situation. Yes. Yeah. And I very much enjoyed him. I love the pace of it. Like, it goes so fast. You can't be bored. And it seems like at the top of every inning or between innings, there's always some extra feature
So if you weren't really interested in the game, you might be interested in a song, or in one case, a race of babies. They put like
the world's slowest race.
They put 5 babies who could barely crawl on the field dressed as Dalmatians. I think they call it the Dalmatian race. And the babies have to crawl back to their mothers. And it's hilarious and adorable.
And the underscoring for it, which is the same every time, and it gets me every time, is Chariots of Fire, the Olympic theme song. It is absolutely wonderful.
They really, want to keep the audience's attention, and they want to engage the audience as much as possible. And there's lots of shooting swag into the audience, and, the teams running around. If you have a good seat, you might actually just have one of these players run right past you and, high five them. So I was really, delighted, since I'm not really a baseball fan, to be there and to just it's sort of if you have a bad attention span.
Yeah, no, I mean, baseball is notoriously something that goes on and on and on. And even with the latest Major League Baseball rules to shorten it and tighten it up, it's still a relatively long game. Banana ball, they take that at a clip. They are 2 hours flat, top to bottom. There are several other rules that make things go quickly, but it definitely is. And the other thing that I love about it, it's very much like an opera in that there is always something to watch somewhere on the stage/field. So you could be watching the actual state of play. You could be watching the mascot, who is named Split, covered in grass and trying to lean in and blend in.
Like Homer Simpson, blending into the bush.
Just little nuggets like that. So I'll call him the director, whoever the director is that is really building what a banana ball experience is. They think of so much. It's so creative and it's so smart. And you don't have to be watching the state of play. You can be watching Split. You can be watching Princess Potassia, who is a lovely lady in a yellow dress, just floating around on one side of the field. So I cannot recommend enough. Get yourselves into the ticket lottery for the closest place to you for next summer's Banana Ball. Oliver, now that I know that you now love baseball, we'll just have to go together.
Yeah, you got something to say? Then yeah, all right, you can say something. This is Listener Mailbag.
Our listener mailbag is a field report from who I am dubbing our latest OBS superfan, Gary. He went to Wolf Trap Opera and he saw Eugene Onegin several times. He is one of these people that I really love because he's come to opera as a full-grown adult and is devouring and learning as much as he can about it, and he's having so much fun. And so it's so much fun to see somebody learning all of this stuff. And Gary was lovely enough to present this field report of Onegin for us.
Hi, this is field reporter Gary, aka Lohengrin Swan Guy, reporting on the Wolf Trap Opera production of Eugene Onegin. If you're not familiar with Wolf Trap, it's a summer opera program that is performed usually in a small venue in Northern Virginia. This was an absolutely outstanding production. I went to it 4 times. The production was interesting. There was no orchestra pit. It sort of reminded me of the cover of Maurice Sendek's Where the Wild Things Are. There's sort of a sloping green grass behind which is a forest or a grove, and the orchestra was behind that. In Act 2, they set some lanterns in the trees, and that was effectively done. There was a person with a bear head on, non-speaking role, who in the overtures and the overtures to the acts would sort of stare at Tatiana. I'm pretty sure this is a reference to, in chapter 5 of the book, this doesn't make it into the opera, but in chapter 5 of the book, Tatiana has a dream. She's walking in the woods. She comes across a bear. He takes her to a sort of cabin with some fantastic creatures, animals, I think a rabbit and a horse and maybe a kind of bird. And shortly after that, she runs into Onegin and Linsky gets stabbed. I guess the idea is this is sort of presages the duel where Linsky is killed. Also, in the last performance, there was an audience member who had a bear on his head. He didn't tell me his name, though. Another interesting thing about the production is that the peasant chorus in Act 1 comes from the back through the aisles And I absolutely love any kind of antiphonal effects, so I really like that. As far as the costumes, one of the interesting things I thought was Onegin and Linsky have, in 19th century attire, upper class attire, you sort of see the military pants. Instead of that, they had boots with sort of track suits with the sort of Adidas stripes. I'm fairly confident this is a reference to the fact that how popular tracksuits were in Eastern Europe after the fall of the Soviet Union and after the Moscow Olympics. The orchestra sounded really good. I thought the brass and wood ones sounded particularly good. The cast was uniformly excellent. The three main roles were sung by Daniel O'Hearn, who sung the role of Linsky, Magdalena Kuzma, who was excellent as Tatiana, and Finn Segal, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, who was Onegin. One thing that was kind of jarring is usually when I've seen it, there is Act 1 intermission, Act 2 intermission. You end up in Moscow with him wanting her. But here they went from directly the duel, Linsky dies. They start up the music for Act 3 and he walks off. I guess it's sort of played as if Onegin is seeing a specter, but that was a bit of a surprise. And one thing that was also interesting about the ending is usually it's just sort of played as when he declares his love for her after a number of years. She just says, nope, I'm married, in a discussion. And this one, she seemed much more tempted, and he actually gets her dress off before she runs off in her night clothes. Absolutely outstanding production. I think I can't even recall the last time, or if I've ever seen 4 performances of a non-Baroque opera in this shorter time. The score is really beautiful. I mean, each time I notice more about the libretto. I noticed more about it musically. I appreciated different characters. So 2 thumbs up for Wolf Trap. It wasn't a Baroque opera like I would prefer, but they did an outstanding job. And I'm hoping to see Onegin again at Santa Fe if everything works out. So I would make seeing it 6 times in 1 year if it works out. Reporting from the field, Gary, a.k.a. Lohengrin Swan Guy.
Our special thanks to friend of OBS, Gary, for his absolutely wonderful field reporting. Next up, good call, bad call.
Good call, bad call on Opera Box Score.
Good call, bad call, how we end the show each week. There's 2 of us, so this will go fast. Oliver Camacho.
So when I was at Des Moines Metro Opera, I bumped into friend of the show, author Garth Greenwell, who famously now is the I guess, inspiration or maybe co-librettist for the opera What Belongs to You, the newest David C. Little opera. Starring friend of the show, Karim Suleiman. So many friends of the show coming together. But Garth was there at Des Moines, and he wrote his own sort of essay on his experience seeing King Roger at Des Moines, which I've been talking about, forever now. And so I invite all of you to go to his Substack and read the article, A Queer Polish Opera in Indianola, Iowa. And we'll have a link to that article on the webpage for today's episode.
That is a factually accurate title, but you couldn't have written it better. It's an incredible thing. Thank you, Garth, for your writing. I can't wait to check that out. My good call this week goes to one Miss Anne Hathaway. You might remember that Anne Hathaway is currently starring as Penelope in the feature film The Odyssey. And once again, she did that thing that we love that they do, where she brought in opera as an inspiration. She used Maria Callas as her character model for Penelope in The Odyssey. She recently said in an interview, I thought a lot about Greece, and I was thinking about somebody who's mythic to me in my own life is Maria Callas. And I was thinking, okay, If this film were an opera, Maria Callas would 100% play Penelope. Concur. How would she play her? And then I just let myself imagine towering emotions and the way Maria Callas could do much with her intimate moments and the way that she could stand there so still inside of herself and produce the most beautiful sound, but then turn around and be so full of fury. So Maria Callas was a huge inspiration for me. Thank you, Anne Hathaway. That is it for this week's edition of America's Talk Radio Show about opera. Make sure you subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get your voice heard and find links to stuff that we've talked about at our website, which is operaboxscore.com. And that is also where you can put your money where our mouths are. You can give back to the OBS using the Support the Team tab. Your announcer is Norm Waddell, your creative consultant is Oliver Camacho, and your audio editor is Weston Williams, and the executive producer of the OBS is George Cedarquist. For our guest, Laurence Kilsby, I'm Ashley Hardgrave, asking you to continue the conversation about opera as you put on your finest garb for a picnic in the English countryside. We are back with an all-new show next week when we go Inside the Huddle with Alarm Will Sound's Alan Pearson. Plus, you get more opera headlines, more hot takes, and more chariots of fire. Join us.